business owners that puts them in front of a global audience. And in behind those shows is a whole range of things, from digital magazines to social media to blogging to email to lead generation, just a whole range of things. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is the show where I get to talk to amazing businessmen and women across the planet. I'm your host, Toni Lontis, and in a short while, I'll introduce you to our phenomenal guest today. But before I do that, if you're listening live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, please reach out, say hello, send us your questions, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like for that matter. But thank you for listening and watching the show today. Now, don't forget, you can catch up on shows on the Toni TV channel app on Binge TV Networks USA and syndicated to 350 other live streaming TV channels across the planet. Remember that you can also see them on your LG, Samsung, and Roku smart TVs across the planet on Everyday Women's Network, and we will be releasing the apps associated with Everyday Women's Network very soon. Now, an important part of each and every show that we do is in recognition of the special part that our Indigenous communities played in Australia's cultural identity. So today, I want to respectfully acknowledge the people of the Yugambeh language region, the traditional owners of the land on which we speak and broadcast. I want to pay my respects to the elders past and present and all Aboriginal and Islander people watching here today. Now, our beautiful guest, Angela, is an intuitive connection medium, and we're going to be talking about that a lot in the show today. Angela is connected to spirit, and she works with a team in a non-physical way, and she's done this her entire life. From multiple realms with multiple people. She is a teacher, a coach, a medium, a radio show host, a writer, a retreat host, gallery reader, speaker, and she hosts online private and group sessions and classes. She offers guidance and mediumship, intuition, and speaking around her knowledge, which she readily shares with others. She has worked with people across the globe in many countries. Angela works with love, compassion, and humor. Life is meant to be enjoyed to its fullest, understanding and deepening our knowledge of ourselves and our world helps in our expansion of our soul. And it also impacts on those around us and the world that we live in. We are multidimensional creatures. What does that mean? We are souls encased in a human body, and part of that growth of our human knowledge involves understanding our energetic selves and the energy that's around us. Angela connects with past loved ones, angelic realms, earth, sky, and animal realms, along with star nations, consciousnesses. That's a great word, isn't it, Angela? Consciousnesses and knowledge fields. We're going to be talking about how Angela works with her non-physical team today and how she does her amazing work. You can find out more on angelazabel.com. That's ANGELAZABEL.com. You can also find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, nearly combined TikTok and YouTube together. She's also the host of the Edge Talk Radio and an amazing soul on Voice of America's Empowerment Channel. She writes extensively for the Edge magazine. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me on, Toni. I am really excited to be here, and I can't wait to answer your questions because I know they're going to be a lot of fun.
And I want to have fun with this topic today. So too many people out there go, oh, that's just too woo-woo for me. But it's not, Angela. It's actually about tapping into a different part of our mind and connecting with our souls and our spirits and enjoying that life journey that we've been gifted.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things for me to help people understand more about what this is and understanding that this really is our normal. And this normal, and by tapping into everything out there, we really can start finding a better path for us, finding better things that feel better for us. And I'm all about feeling and
Yes,
trusting your gut, that intuitiveness in you. The more you trust that, the more you tap into that,
because it's
the more.
always right.
Oh, it's always right. It's
Mm.
always right. That gut instinct is always right. And doing that first, that's so key.
Yeah, definitely. Angela, I want to go back to the beginning and what started you in this work and on this journey? Because even though you teach and help others about their journey, you're on a journey yourself.
Oh, absolutely. And my journey started actually when I was my first memories is being 4 years old
Oh,
and having
wow.
having people in my room playing cards at the card table. The only issue is none of them were alive. I didn't know any of them and they were all dead.
Did you realize that when you were four, Ange?
I did because they were kind of floating. They weren't like right on the floor. They were like halfway in between. And because of that, that was my first cue that most people don't like levitate above the ground. So it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, probably not real people. And you could kind of see through them. So they were a little see-through.
Oh.
So that was also another big indication for me. But I didn't tell anybody because
I
I
was,
didn't want them to say anything.
and it didn't scare you, did it? Like there was no fear.
It was so I had a kind of a strange childhood, I guess.
Yes.
And there was times it was fearful for me because I'm like, it is kind of strange to have that happening in your room and seeing people around you.
Mm.
But I also knew intuitively that they
Mm.
weren't there to hurt me.
Yeah.
They weren't, there was nothing to fear from them. It was just me getting adjusted to seeing and interacting with the people around me. And I
Yeah.
think that was a real good segue for them to let me know it's okay and to kind of get adjusted to them.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that in this day and age we can have these conversations and talk about things that are non-physical and are more spiritual in nature. I think that's good for humanity as a whole. Angela, one of your beliefs is around the fact that we are all equal and that we are all powerful. Can you expand on this for us a little bit more?
So the more and more I work with those on the other side, and this is in all of the other realms, they are consistently teaching me. So they are my teaching crew. They're my teachers all the time.
Mm.
Every time I do a session, I'm learning something. And one of the things they have consistently showed me is taking me in to show that they would have a whole angelic group
Yes.
around people, and there would be this whole angelic group around people. And when I would come up, I would be like, why am I here? Because it's like, looks like you all have this. Because at that
Mm.
time I was working with people doing
Mm.
that energetic healing when I was asked. I don't, it's only I'm
Yes.
asked. And then I went there. They took me there and they showed this whole realm of energetic beings and the angelic realms. And I said, well, why am I here? And they said, well, we need your energy. You are equal to us and you are just as powerful and just as needed because all of our energy is unique and different. So
So
everyone's
every
energy,
human on the planet has
absolutely.
unique beings around them
Yes,
and
everyone
unique
has
energy.
unique beings, unique team around them, and their own unique energy. We all come in with that energy because I'm just going to take a little stab in the dark here and
Yeah.
say that a lot of the people listening on here have had people come up to them and just randomly start a conversation or talk to them in the store. And
Mm.
that's because the people listening are recognizing their own power within them. The only reason all those people are coming up and talking to you is because your light is shining. That energy within you is
It's an
shining
energy
so bright.
connection, Angela. That's it's an energy connection, and it works both ways. There are people that sometimes you walk past in the street and you just go, oh, I got to stay away from them. It's the same, isn't it?
It is. And kind of think of it when you walk into a room of, say, a party's going on or somebody's
Yes.
there, and you walk in and you're like, I'm gonna just kind of stay away from that person, or you kind of gravitate to someone
Yes.
else where, oh, this could be a really good conversation. That's your energy field at work in the moment. And understanding that part of us, instead of just going like, oh yeah, I went because that person felt, I just felt like that would be a good connection. Tapping into that multi-dimensional aspect of us and realizing our energy fields are connecting. And if the energy fields are connecting there, think of all of the other places it's connecting to animals, to nature, to everything else around us.
Angela, let's just quickly talk about animals, and I need to share with the audience, when Angela and I first met, it was a beautiful conversation, and it was a lovely connection. But one of the things that Angela helped me with, for those of you that are familiar and follow along, you know that 2022 was pretty rough for us, and part of that, part of the things that were difficult to manage in 2022 was that we had to rehome our whole herd of 2 llamas and 7 goats. And I was talking to Angela, and I'd said to her, I just miss my goats so much. And so part of the beauty of that conversation was that Angela was able to help me understand that they're never apart from us, that their souls are connected to me. And whenever I think of them and feel bad or sad or upset that they've gone, that they're connecting to me. And it made a huge difference in managing my grief around the loss of those beautiful animals, because I'd hand reared and bottle fed each and every one of them. I'd sat through them with illness and everything else, and I missed them desperately, like I missed a human soul. And Angela helped me connect to their energy, to speak and know that they were okay. And I have to say, Angela, that after our conversation, we actually went and connected with the 2 llamas and one of the goats, which was on a separate property. And Snoopy came running down the hill towards me, and it was almost like he was going, Mom, Mom. And it was so beautiful, and I'm just so grateful for that. So can you share with the audience that beautiful energy soul connection to our animals?
Absolutely. And that's something that's so, I think it's absolutely beautiful. And there's the one that I'm just going to say, there's the one that's kind of, he's got a little bit of an attitude.
Oh, Whiskey was my goat. Yes, he was Mum's special. He was my special goat, and I miss him, Angela. But I do now talk to him and say, "Hey, Whiskey, how's it going?" He goes, "Oh my God, it's not the same life. It's a different life, but it's okay. We're okay."
Well, I just keep hearing from him because the connections don't matter if they're living or past. That connection is
Yes.
always going. That's our multi-dimensional aspect. And I keep hearing from him. He's so excited to be here because now he can make his grand entrance.
See, he's very special, that goat, because he actually is on the back cover of my my book and my memoir, and it's just a photo of him just looking up into my eyes, like everyone who met Whiskey and saw us together just knew that he loved me, and there was no other human on the planet for him other than me, which is pretty darn special, I have to say. And
Absolutely.
he was a character, like he had a wicked sense of humor. He was very funny. He was sassy. He's a great guy. He was a great guy. Just
as I say here, he's kind of full of piss and vinegar.
Oh, that's a great saying.
But so that connection really is our hearts are connected. When we make that heart connection, when we have animals, people you meet here and there, when you have that heart connection, they connect to ours. That's why that connection grows so strong. And no matter if you're away from them or not, when you start thinking of them, that's them thinking of you, tapping into you to say, hey, I'm here. Guess what? I'm here.
So it's such a comfort to me to discover that, Angela. I'll be eternally grateful, because I think I might have said to you that it was just making me heartbroken, and I was just missing them all so much. And we knew that we had to give them to a new home. That was a just hard decision, but that you helped me to get through that grief around the loss of my animals. In speaking of grief around animals, it's the same with humans, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to say, people think I'm doing something special. I'm really not. This is, we can all do
Everyone
this.
can do it.
Absolutely.
You just need someone to teach you. Like Angela taught me how to connect on that energetic level, and it soothed my soul. So simple. But and I know this stuff on a head level, but I'd never experienced it in the way that Angela taught me how to connect. Really special, Ange.
And the fun thing is they come through to let me know how different special ways are you can connect to them. And that's the cool thing, is I'm not doing this alone. There's so many helping me, but I love when they come through and animals come through, and I've got to say it, that Whiskey is still just like bouncing around. He's just showing bouncing and bouncing.
Yeah. He was very dog-like in that he was he's very protective of me. So when my daughter had the first grandbaby, he was very suspicious of Archer. And when he started to walk, Archer, if we weren't watching Archer, Whiskey would sneak up and bump him over, and which was equal parts funny and distressing. I'm like,
I can see that.
Don't hurt the baby. But he was being just fun and good natured and going, well, you're not going to come between my mom and me. Like, I'm the best. I'm the top goat.
Absolutely. And really, when we have those that really make that connection to us, they're always connected. And you, even after, so right now they're all alive and you're making this connection because you're not physically there. But later on, when they're not physically there, you're still connecting to them. And it's always that connection that never stops. And that's lovely. Whether it's humans or animals. And humans, it is, realizing, for me, I've lost quite a few people in the last few years, and going through that, it's a loss, but for me, I know life continues. I know they're not just gone, and their messages continue to come, and they have helped so much. And for those of you out there that are having grief and having someone pass away, tap into them. And they have helped me even planning their funerals. And I've got to say, these people love to be at their funerals, and they've helped me plan their funerals after they pass. They were adding things in. They're like, can you add this in? I'm like, yeah, I'll go get it added in for you.
Wow.
So all is available.
And this is available to every human, but there's an element you have to actually believe. You actually have to allow that energy to communicate. If you completely think it's all woo-woo and it's not true, then that connection is never going to be made, is it, Angela?
I will interject a little bit on there.
Excellent.
So even though that people are saying, I don't believe anything's going on. A lot of those people, when I ask them, so have you heard their favorite song come on? Or have you had a movie that came on out of the blue when you stepped in the car? And they're like, yeah, it reminded me of them. I'm like, that was their connection. And it's learning to trust those connections. And like I said, everyone is unique. you're going to connect in a unique way. Some people may hear, some people may see, some people may just know, and some is just feeling. But when those songs, when those synchronicities, that there's no synchronicities, I'll tell you that right now. When that happens, absolutely thank them. Thank them for being there. Thank them for the message. And then send that message of love back to them, because they see it, they feel it, they know it. And the more you do that, the more you start trusting yourself that you are multidimensional, and so are they. That's how the connection works. The more you do that, the stronger it grows. And for me, I like to say our intuitive muscle, our intuition is just like a muscle, just like
going to the better the more that you use it.
Absolutely. The more you use it, the more you trust it, the more you get a sign, a symbol, and you say thank you, that just grows that connection more and more, and more messages come in, because now you're open to it, and you're recognizing what's coming in. So it's there for everyone. And I've heard the ones, because it's kind of funny, I get people that they'll book a session and they're like, well, I really don't believe, and I've got someone with me, I don't believe any of that stuff. But they'll come in and they'll tell me, like, I've been doing this, remember this? And they're talking about songs, things that happened, and they're like, yeah, that happened. I'm like, yeah, because they're telling me that's what they were doing to get your attention. Because they work really hard to get our attention, and and they have a heck of a good sense of humor. And for me, working with all those on the other side, they have such great senses of humor. They crack jokes. It's just like when they were alive. The only difference is they just don't have the physical body. And because of that, it makes it that I talk a lot of times, it's kind of like learning a new language, a new way to communicate. So think of, like, when you're a baby, you're learning how to talk, you're learning how to do all these things. When someone passes, kind of put yourself back in that, like, this is a new connection. We're going to figure out how it works, figure the best way that it works for us, and we're going to continue to grow it. So you're learning a new language. It doesn't mean the language doesn't exist. If you tell a baby there's language out there, the baby would be looking at you like you're nuts. But the more they hear it, and the more those on the other side give you messages, the more you're like, oh, there it is. There it is. So it's realizing that language is there. It's just learning it. And everyone's language is going to be different. And that's the cool thing. That's why I teach so many different ways to connect, because everyone's different. And even the ones I connect to, I have some where they'll show me physically what they look like. Other ones will give me an energetic sense of what they look like. Other ones will just be talking to me. Some will just be, it'll just be a knowing within me. And some I'll just feel them. And everyone is different because they're all unique. So don't think it's always going to be the same way. It's not. And look at it, it's exciting and fun to see how else you can connect. It's so fun.
Angela, you talk about teams of entities across different realms. So we tend to think in like one-dimensional. So it might be grandpa who passed, or the animals, or that. But there's other entities, beings, and energies, isn't there? So when you meet someone, do you get to see all of those entities? Do you get to see some of them? How does that work?
So for me, this is how I work with my team. So I'm a busy woman, okay?
Yes.
And I like to have fun. So I tell my team, when I'm working with someone, I only work in love and white light. I'm only going to work with those that are going to help me or the people in front of me. I will work with nothing less. And because of that, I say, send me the best of the best, whoever I need for this person. So they are consistently switching out for me. And this may be an angelic realm. It may be, there's the angelic realm.
So angelic, we're talking about Michael and Gabriel. And intergalactic.
The angels and the intergalactic. I have ones that'll come in from other I call them star nations because people get the connotation that they're coming from somewhere else and they're all these weird things, but they're so full of love when you start connecting into them, and they really want to build that connection with us also. And then there's also the nature spirits, all the, when
yes, you taught me about that as well.
So every time you walk outside, how many people on here have walked outside and it's just like you take a breath and you just feel better? That's that nature energy, all the nature spirits that are around us all the time. And they're there to help uplift us, but they also would love for us. If we're outside and we're feeling good, we're singing, we're doing whatever, and we're gardening, we're doing things like that, ask them to join you. Ask them to be part of what you're doing. And I'm going to say a little trick I like to tell people on here. When you want to work with different beings, whether it's angelic, the nature, there's the water beings, there's all kinds of beings.
Wow.
And there's so many of them out there. Ask them to step in close to you, then ask them to step back. Because all of us here, when you're in a room, someone can walk up behind you and you feel them.
Yes.
You don't have to turn around, but someone's there.
Yes.
When we start trusting ourselves more, ask those you want to work with to step in close to you, and you'll feel that little bit of energetic shift. And ask them to step behind you, just like when you go somewhere and you feel someone step behind you, ask them to step behind you, but then ask them to step back. That's a really great way to practice with the energy of those that are around us. And that doesn't matter if it's someone that's passed, grandma, grandpa, whatever, or if it's a nature spirit, if it's an intergalactic spirit, if it's an angelic spirit. And I've got to say, actually, I just had, again, so those of us talk about all the different angelic realms, and then we talk about Jesus and Mary, all this. And I don't care what religion you are. For me, it's like, I know there's a higher power. I don't care what it is. And that doesn't matter. But Jesus comes in, and when he comes in, it's very noticeable who it is. So there's ones it's very easy for me to recognize when Jesus comes in, when Metatron, Raphael, Michael, when they come in, they have different energies. And if you think you can't tell the difference, think of this. You have different people in your family. When they come up behind you, you can tell who it is without turning around. And you can tell the different people in your family or friend group. You can tell, even though you didn't turn around, but you know who it is. This is the same thing. This is just paying attention to the energy that's around you and start feeling the difference. And it's like, oh, that's who it is. That's who it is. And you'll start picking out who these people are on the other side. And I call them people. And honestly, I look at them the same way. They're the same as you and I. They tell jokes, they crack jokes, and my team likes to play a lot of fun stuff on me. So we like to have fun. But this is really, all of us have this team. Each and every person here has someone around them, and usually not just one. There's usually a whole team, whole team. And I also want people to think about, when you went to school, you had different teachers as you grew. Your team is going to consistently change as you need someone else on the team, as you reach another level, another area of learning. And that's as simple as like you taking on the radio show. That was something different. You've got team members. You've got team members that were radio representatives here in life that came to help you, to give you kind of little inklings of different things to get your radio and your TV show up.
Absolutely.
They're telling me you didn't know those people, but they were specialists on the other side, helping you to
Angela,
create
I now, when I talk to someone, I will have a guide of what I want to talk to that person about, like the talking points I sent to you today. But as I'm in the interview, I don't always stick to those questions because others will pop into my head and I know that I need to ask them. And one of those questions that's keeping popping in at the moment is that discernment around good and evil. So we're talking very positively about the entities, the spirit guides, the angelics, the intergalactics. There's always good and bad on both sides. And I'm curious to know that if you've ever had an experience when you're working with something that something evil or bad has come up for you, and how you managed that.
So I like to look at it as not necessarily good or evil,
Yes.
but more of energy that matches mine and energy that
doesn't match.
Absolutely.
That's a better way of looking at it. Yes.
And you can look at that even when there's people, say in a workplace or family members, and you're like, well, I really don't, not really my cup of tea. So
and that's actually proven that for every human on the planet, there will 1 in 7 of the people that you are connected to, you will not like. And there will not be any rational reason, but you won't like them. You won't like to be around them. You won't want them in your life. And that's a proven concept. So it's no different, is it?
It's absolutely no different. And one thing I just want to touch on a little bit.
Yes.
Kind of think of it as energy resonance. Kind of think of it as sound waves.
Yes.
If your sound wave is just going really fast and their sound wave is not as fast, when they get together, it's like, just not feeling it. Right. And this is the same with those on the other side. And there are different realms. I have encountered things where it's like, it wasn't really resonating with me, and I knew they had totally opposite goals than what I had in mind.
Yes.
But my team, and this is where trusting in yourself, my team is like, you're going to be encountering something that is going to kind of push your limits a little bit, and they'll tell me ahead of time. They'll say, you're going to be in a situation, but we're going to be here with you, and you're here to help remove some energy from, I had actually recently done where I removed some energy that was hanging around somebody's house that was not of the, the best resonance.
Yeah.
So they told me, they're like, this is, expect some of this. And I went in and I'm like, okay, I got my team. This is no big deal. I'm like, you know what? You're not welcome here anymore. No one wants you here. You're going to have to go somewhere else. And then I could actually, and it was a kind of back and forth testing. And then I could feel the other one leave. It's like, you're out, you're done. And you could feel it, and you could feel the energy in the house shift. And it's really, and the thing is, you don't have to be scared of any of that. It's just like, if you
that's the other important point, isn't it? It's not about a fear. It's just about, no, this is not right. Off you go. Sending you off with love and light, go somewhere else.
Absolutely. And kind of look at it, if that person that doesn't really resonate with you came over to visit you, you would be like, let's cut this visit short and let's move this out. And it's treated the same way, because one of the things is, because we are so empowered, and this is part of your empowerment series, anything that doesn't resonate, you have all the power in the world to just say, you know what? Not welcome here. Go away. Go somewhere else. You're not welcome here. I only have things in love and light. I have things that support me. And that's one of the things. Ask for supportive people and supportive energies around you, and just let all the rest go.
Absolutely.
And when you start trusting yourself with that, you don't have to worry about it.
And it can be quite protective too. I'm sure many of the audience have experienced those moments in life where they're directed to drive a different route than they normally do, walk a different way than they normally do, go through a different door, all those sorts of things. That's actually your team gently prompting you in a different direction. And the more you learn to listen to those prompts, that more free-flowing and better life is, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's part of the thing with understanding your multidimensionality, because you can tap into, and I don't know if you've heard of like the Akashic records, all of the knowledge that there ever was and ever will be is there, but you can tap into it. And and this is going to be a little Well, I like to push. My
Yes,
team is like, let's push it a little bit.
absolutely.
So think of this. If you're encountering an issue in your life
Mhm,
right
mhm.
now, and
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know how to get through this. I just need some advice. I need some help. And a lot of people ask for prayer. They're asking for prayer and things like
Mhm.
that. The other option, and a lot of times prayer, I'm going to tell you this, you
Yes.
actually access a future version of yourself who has already made it through the situation and knows really great ways to help move you through that situation in the best way that's going to serve you. So
Mhm.
tap into a future version of yourself, like, okay, you've already, and just kind of look at yourself. I've already done this. I know I
Mhm.
already have. I've already
Mhm.
worked my way through it, and I've done a beautiful job.
Yeah.
How did I do it? Help give me that information on how
Yeah.
I did it. And
Yeah.
you'll see the paths open up for you and the people you need to
I was
support you.
just going to
That.
say, Angela, that's the way it works. So again, I'm going to go back to my animal, the grief I was feeling around my beautiful animals, and just mention again to the audience, I was asking for help to get through this tremendous grief I was suffering, and Angela was there, and she helped me move through that grief to the other side. Now, Angela's internet is glitching at the moment, so I hope that she hasn't dropped off, and I hope we can continue this conversation. Are you still there, Angela?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yay, that's better.
Oh,
Okay. It was
perfect.
just glitching, so I just kept talking while it was glitching. Uh, if you are you are open to receiving, the universe will send you the people, the intuition that you need. And Angela for me was that person. We connected at a pivotal point when I was really struggling with a whole range of things, and at the top of that thing was the grief around the loss of my animals, and she just guided me through that and made my life much better on so many levels. So, in speaking about this, and I'm conscious that we're fast moving through the time of this interview, I want you to tell the audience, Angela, how people can connect with you, how they can reach you, and how you work with them, all the different ways that they can connect and work with you, because this is your life. This is what you do. You help people navigate all manner of things. And I wanted the audience to know how they can connect with you and get in touch with you, and then how you work with them.
Awesome. And I thank you so much, Toni, because I know it's not easy to open up about things that you're experiencing. And it was a pleasure for me and an honor.
Oh.
And for all those out there to reach me, the best way is go on my website, angelazabel.com, because on there I go into spiritual growth, personal growth. I talk about what happens during a reading. And for me, and because energy is energy, we're multidimensional. My readings, unless I'm doing an expo, are all over Zoom, just like we're doing
Yes,
here. It's all over the
exactly.
internet.
That prompted me to remind people that because Angela's working in the energy realm, she can do that anywhere in the world over Zoom. That's one of the most powerful learnings in recent years for me, is that energy transference can happen across the airwaves, so to speak, or the internet waves. However you want to think of it, it's still the same. Angela can
It's
still do a reading. She can still point you in the right direction, and you don't have to be sitting face to face. I think that's a huge discovery for people, to understand that you can be in Minnesota and I can be in Whoop Whoop, and we can still have a fruitful energy exchange that helps us with whatever we're battling with.
absolutely, because I've worked with people in all different countries. I've been working with people in all different countries. We do it over Zoom. The energy is the same.
Yeah,
And if you don't believe we are multidimensional, there's no way I could have done the session or helping Toni,
absolutely.
who is in Australia. I couldn't connect to her goats. I couldn't connect to her llamas
No.
unless we are multidimensional, and energy is always around us and
Yeah.
always able to connect to everything.
Irrespective of time and space. It's irrespective of time and space. That ceases to
Absolutely.
exist in the multidimensional realm, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's why all that information is available. And that's why everyone else can tap into that information.
Mm.
And for me, when I'm working with someone, they come on, they can book a session directly on my website. I have a
Yes.
scheduler on there, and it will adjust to your time zone. So don't worry about that. You can book a session on there, and then I get notified, and I will send you the link to the meeting. And then when the meeting happens, it's me. I like to make everyone
the whole
comfortable.
of Angela you get, the whole, and her like devoted time and attention. I really cannot speak highly enough of what Angela does, because I've experienced it personally, and because it was an immense shift and release for me, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you so much, Toni, because the other aspect of this is, when we're working together, I can feel that shift. And I knew at different times when the animals were coming in, I could feel the energy in Toni shift, and I could feel that lightness start to come over.
Yeah.
And the other thing people might not understand is, when I'm working with people, my team is also sending a resonance to you. I like to call it the cosmic hug, because that energy is felt by you. That energy is felt in the heart, is felt around you. People feel it. And that's because they are specifically sending energy to help the people and to uplift the people I work with. And that's something my team is great. I love them so.
Yes.
And so I always ask them to help in all ways that's possible. So they're right there helping with that, sending that energy and helping with that healing and helping with the releasing. And, for me, most time people don't call me up or contact me because they're having a great day.
No, it's when you're struggling that you need the help and assistance, and whatever you're struggling with, I've got no doubt that Angela will be able to help within the energy realm to help you through whatever it is you're dealing with. And as in my case, there was a huge amount of grief. I've always experienced more grief around my animals and fur babies than any grief I've experienced for a human being. And that's just me. I know that I'm inherently linked to the animal kingdom in that way, so that's why it's so upsetting for me, I guess you could say. And I think that for some people, the connection to a loved one that they've lost will help them move through that grief at a greater rate, and with greater compassion for themselves and compassion for the grief that they're going through, because it is a process, it is a journey. And much like our spiritual journey, we want to grow, learn, and challenge ourselves. And when you incorporate a spiritual component into your life's journey, that just gets you further, faster, with more wisdom, is what I'm trying to say, Angela. It's the wisdom that comes from these soul sessions that helps the most with moving you forward as a person, as wanting to be a better person, as a person in business, as a person wanting to get through grief, as a person wanting answers about whatever it is that's going on in your life. This is where Angela is like a conduit to those answers. Yeah?
Absolutely. And sometimes it's not necessarily someone who passed, it's something you
Correct.
have going on in your life, that guidance.
That's right.
And sometimes it's you're experiencing something and you really don't know what's going on. Well, my team will let me know, like, they're experiencing this is happening in their life, and they want them to know. Sometimes they are connecting to other realms. A lot of times they are. And my team will tell me exactly what they're experiencing before they tell me. And then they'll give them ideas on how to continue that connection, how to grow that connection. So it is mentoring. And I also teach classes. So I teach intuitive classes and mediumship classes online. So anybody around the world can join into that. And then once the class is done, you get the audio recording of the class. You can go through it. You can review everything that happened.
Learn it. And as you know and grow, as you learn and grow, you hear and learn different things from what someone has said, or from a class or a session. you developed a greater understanding. So you hear at a greater level of understanding, which is different from the starting point. And, you know, it may be just, so for example, we're contemplating an interstate move to somewhere that we've never been before, that we've never lived before. And intuitively, I keep getting drawn, like I keep getting drawn to this space. And so it's things like that. You can just go to Angela and say, hey, this is a really out of left field decision that we're about to make. I feel like I'm being drawn in this direction. And Angela can go, and you just want to know, is that, you know, because I feel like I'm a baby in the spiritual learning and understanding world. And you can just go to Angela, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. This is really out of left field. This is not usual for us, and da-da-da-da. And Angela can then help you go, actually, here's what I'm being told. Here's what I think. Here's why you're being drawn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of just explaining the way that Angela works with people. Yeah?
Absolutely. And you are actually looking at making this move, is that correct?
Yeah. We haven't even told many people about it.
Okay, so I'm just going to let you know real quick.
Cool.
They're just telling me there's a reason you're drawn to that area. There's connections, there's support, but there's also a nature element
God, that's
very supportive for you. Okay.
That
so they're
I haven't told Angela any of this. We have not told anyone about this, what we're thinking about. And the key thing that keeps drawing me to this state is around the space, the lack of people, and the nature, including beaches and mountains and snows and a whole range of things that keep drawing me to this space. Oh my goodness, I have the biggest goosebumps and hairs on the back of my neck. And for the audience, that's my own personal key. And a racing heart, those are the things that know, oh my goodness, that's correct. So I no longer discount that, because I know I've had a physical body reaction that goes, right, you're on the right track.
They also want you to know
how simple that is.
Yeah. They also want you to know there's a lot of nature spirits there that want to increase your connection to them, because they're telling me that your connection to nature is going to be increasing and improving over time. It's also part of a big healing process for you, but it's all bring that connection for you. And so they're very excited to have you join them, because there's quite a few there that want you to join them, to invite them. So there's like, I don't know if you've actually been to this town and been to this area already.
I haven't. Briefly, I've done a trip across this state, but there's one particular area that every time I think, I keep getting, and no, I've never been there, but it is close to world-renowned nature conservation space.
There's a reason for that. So anytime there's a world-renowned nature area, it's also they're just going to let people know here that also is a connection to those on intergalactic areas, because there's a reason those areas are set aside.
They're very beautiful and they're very pristine, and there's a complete lack of there's no humans around. It's one of the last, I won't say great frontiers, but it is quite remote. It's the furthest point of Australia. It's closest to Antarctica, and it has huge amounts of spectacular scenery and nature that is half the state is locked down in nature reserve. So yes.
So they also want to let people know, when you have a time where you really just want to really get some good connection, or you're feeling down or feeling depressed, tap into the energy of the sun. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can actually get out in the sun. So like where I am, it's really stinking cold. You're not going to go outside all the time. But because energy is energy, you can sit back, you can close your eyes, you can just visualize the sun shining on you. You can visualize and feel the warmth. You can feel the warm breeze, and that sun energy is very healing for people.
Definitely.
So when you're feeling down, tap into that sun energy. There's so much around us. They're
Yeah.
saying the nature spirits for you that are going to be there are very excited to have you join them. I'm just going to ask you something here, and I don't know if this is even on your realm. Have you thought about doing something where you're actually doing some sort of retreat or a connection with people?
Oh, yes. It's been on my radar ongoing.
Okay.
I just, all of those things, as you did that confirmation of that state, all of those things have flowed into my head again. And I actually feel very strongly to be talking about this place that we go to on a regular basis with my global network, and make a series or a show about it and incorporate those spiritual elements. So all of that has popped into my head as you're saying that. So for me, that's just clarification of what I thought I knew. It's just sometimes that external voice is so powerful in helping you. Yeah, this is absolutely, I know that this is where we're meant to be. And then just allow the universe to put those stepping stones in place that allow you to get to that place. And so there's a few things in our life that need to settle and sort out and work out to get us to that place. And so we're just kind of in a holding pattern almost, waiting for those things to happen.
Absolutely. And they are, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
They are, I just had, so as we're talking about nature,
Yeah.
I had a mosquito, which we're at, like below zero here. I had a mosquito coming.
Mosquito? Whoa.
So I had to laugh. I'm like, really? Another confirmation. Yeah. But they're saying to enjoy the nature. There's many opportunities that will present themselves there. So be open to that and be ready for them. But they're saying first, take time just for you. Take time to step into it. Take time to just enjoy. And then they're just saying, then let the creative juices flow. But first, time for you.
Oh, wow. Angela, you're just amazing. Audience, I can't convey how beautiful this soul and person in front of you is. And if there's one thing you take away from this interview, is to know that all things are possible for us as human beings when we take the initiative and we connect to our guides and we listen to our intuition. It just makes life's journey that much easier and that much free flowing. So if you've got any questions, if you want to connect on a different level, please jump on Angela's website and check out what she has to offer. She comes with my highest, most loving recommendation. This is a beautiful woman. If you want to work with someone who will really help you move through the things that are difficult, please connect to her. Angela, what a delight to talk to you today. I am privileged that I get to talk to amazing souls on a regular basis, and you're one of those. And I see us having that ongoing relationship where we talk and chat on a regular basis. Don't forget, audience, that anything that you need to connect to Angela will be with the talking notes that are attached to this show. But the easiest way for you to connect is angelazabel.com. Angela's name, Zabel.com. Really simple. Angela, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We are completely out of time. I've gotten myself carried away in enjoyment of chatting to you again, you gorgeous woman. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And thank you for your wisdom you've shared with the audience today. We are incredibly thankful. And that, my friends, is your lot for this week. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you, Angela, and bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Of shows with business owners that puts them in front of a global audience. And in behind those shows is a whole range of things, from digital magazines to social media to blogging to email to